So when we give you the pattern of separation brings revelation and revelation brings exaltation, it's because what would happen is Abram would build an altar. An altar was always for the function of sacrifice and to kill something. So it was always a place of sacrifice in the Old Testament. And when he'd build that altar, he'd usually stay at that altar till he got to a place where he would make one mistake there and going down to Egypt that would be crucial and critical. He'd stay at that altar and he'd hear from God. And when he'd hear from God, then he would take the direction and start moving in it and walking by faith. And as he did, he'd start to worship God. And as he started to worship God, he'd get elevated and go to the next level. We've studied this so much. You aren't with me right now. Somebody say, bring it on, Pastor Paula. See, Abraham was from Ur of Chaldees, which was the land that was governed by the moon god and the moon worshipers. Stay with me. It was the city that was known as the power of darkness. Culture influences you. Culture influences how you worship. Culture influences how you think. And if you don't think there's a battle for our culture right now, then you are sadly mistaken. Everyone thinks they shouldn't get involved. I want to be involved. Be involved in our school systems. Be involved in our children. Be involved in our region. Be involved in Apopka. Be involved. If you want to stay relegated to the four walls of the church, this is probably not the ministry for you, because we do big ministry from a small community. And we're taking £1 million to Ukraine. We're influencing from governments to education to religion to apostolic and prophetic as an epicenter that has been raised up to bring forth change in this nation. If you want to just go to a church that you get to sneak in on Sunday and sneak out, I can give you some good ones. But if you want to fulfill the purpose of God and the plan of God and constantly be stretched and constantly be challenged and constantly be growing and constantly be doing big things for God, come on. God's going to work on some things. He's going to say, just because you did it that way doesn't mean that's how you're going to do it this way now. God is always moving. Just because we built a great church before doesn't mean we build it that way here now. God is always moving. Come on. And here's the problem. We get stuck because the way that we've been exposed to things. Abram went to, he worshiped Sin, which was that was the name of their moon god. He was a Babylonian moon god. This is important that you understand this. Ur was the largest city of northern Chaldea. So they had the principal commercial center. It was a center of political power. All this is important to his formation. Think of it being a mix of New York, LA, and DC. And that's how Abram was formed. That's the thought. That was his neighbors. That was the people. And God's going to take him out of that and take him to a land that has no formation. It was a port city of Babylonian, the best of goods that came from India and Ethiopia and Egypt. A port city was big commerce. So he's used to being a businessman. He's used to money. He's used to nice things. He's used to the finer things. He's used to the good restaurants. He's used to the best of buildings. And God says, get out of your country. Get out of everything that is familiar. Get out of everything that is comfortable. God says, I want a severance from your country, from your nation, from your society, from your culture, because culture is a belief about ethics, behaviors, and values. They're held by a majority people within a society. We begin to learn culture, the ways our society are at our early birth. Stay with me for a minute. The process is called socialization. And God, the Father of faith, says, leave it. Leave your mother's house. Leave your father's house. Leave it. This is not going over good because y'all want to stay right in that culture. Come on. Want to stay right in that mentality. And God said, leave. It reminds me of Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. Therefore, I urge you, brethren and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true place of worship. And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed, metamorphosized by the renewing, renovation, renovation. Renovation doesn't mean we just did a renovation on our back porch because we had tiles down and the kids kept sliding and Rocco kept sliding. And I'm like, this ain't good. I don't want a hospital visit. So we're going to put the pavers down instead. So we had to pull everything up. We had to sit there and do that jackhammer and get it all up. Take all the old stuff out before we even started. Then we had to smooth it down. And then the last thing they did, which was the easiest thing, was put the pavers on and seal them off. You see, the problem is we're trying to put the pavers on top of the tiles without getting them off. So you've got the Word of God. I've had the Word of God on top of the way we think, on top of the way we process, on top of the way we see things. And God says, empty it. I want it out before I want it in. I don't want you to see the Word through your culture. I don't want you to see the Word through the way you were raised with your family. I don't want you to see, I want you to see it through my perspective and my lens. So he said something radical to Abraham that he wants to do to us. He says, cut off the way that everything was put into you because it might not have been the right way. So he says the renewing, which means renovation. Do we let God really renovate our mind? I mean, really renovate our mind. Think about it. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So God's saying, take out all the teachings of religion. Take out all the traditions and culture and man-made rules and regulations and preferences. I'm not going to go but a few more minutes.